Asmongold has completely lost the plot on X, doubling down on his initial video take that was saying that he is somebody who is in favor of government IDs and wants them. In his video, he said those words. He's like, yes, this would be a good thing, or something along those lines. Asmongold on X, internet real ID is inevitable, especially for social media. Denying this might feel good, but it is a lie, and you know it. What isn't inevitable is private companies having access to our public records. The best solution is a government authentication token that only verifies info. So I can tell that Asmongold has put a lot of thought into this, and I still think it's a terrible take because clearly he doesn't understand the ramifications of if this actually went into effect, how a slippery slope would turn into the worst things in the world happening very, very quickly. When people in power gain power, all they want is more power. It's an insatiable beast that can never be satisfied. And he gets replied to by none other than Elon Musk to smack him down, saying, government is much, in capital letters, much worse than any corporation. Elon Musk, the guy that headed Doge for Donald Trump, in charge of the US government, the president of the United States, the right-hand man for many months, is saying government is much worse than any corporation. Or you don't understand the government. Government is simply the most powerful corporation and with a monopoly on violence. To which I had to retweet and like, because damn, that was a gauntlet thrown down by Elon Musk. I think it's crazy, just before we keep going on, that Zach seems to have come to the conclusion that the real ID is inevitable, that this is a foregone thing that we cannot fight against. So just let it happen. Like, there's so much wrong with that. It's such an anti-American stance that it makes me like sick to my stomach thinking about that. Like, it just turns my insides to just give up and be like, yep, the government is just gonna do it. Just let it happen, guys. Just accept it. Just accept it. It's so fatalistic. It's so depressing. Asmongold replied to Elon Musk, and he said, I'd be fine with a third-party authentication token as well, which, again, yikes. This coming from the same Asmongold that just covered the T leak and many other breaches of third-party applications over the past decade, especially, but even beyond that, is saying he's fine with a third-party authentication token. I just don't see how you reconcile the growing demand. What is this growing demand? Where is it coming from? Give me an example. The growing demand that I am seeing is coming specifically, directly from governments tied to third-party organizations that stand to gain a shit ton of money with something going through like this. That's the only growing demand that I've seen. So I wish Asmongold provided an example of where this growing demand for online accountability is coming from. He says, I just don't see how you reconcile the growing demand for online accountability in any other more constructive way. Here's my response to that is, fuck you. You don't, and you don't get it. Good day, sir. You get nothing. Good day. That's my response to that. You don't have to reconcile something that isn't a problem. This is not a problem. That is where my debate would be on this. People that say, oh, no, it is a problem. Okay, how? Prove it. How's it an issue? What? Oh, you are worried about the children. Oh, gotcha. And how many kids do you have? Oh, none. Okay. So why are you worried about my kids? How about you let me worry about my kids? How about that? How about we let the parents parent and the people without kids can just do whatever the fuck they want on the internet? Who cares? How about that? How about we just leave it the way it was, the status quo, if you will, and we just continue our lives and allow the World Wide Web to remain worldwide? How about that? How about that? The US isn't even bad compared to other places. Right, it's not. We don't want it to be. That's why I'm saying keep it the way it is. We're fine, especially in regards to speech regulation. Asmongold, what do you think is going to happen if you implement third-party verification and a token for verification for identifying people in the United States? What do you think is going to happen? You think it's going to improve, or do you think it's going to make it worse in the United States when it comes to privacy, freedom, and regulations? What do you think is going to happen with that? Do you think they're just going to just make a token and just leave it there and be like, yep, it's just a token. It's good. We're here for your protection. It's great. And now we can implement, these other laws, and we can now use that for many things right now that nobody is thinking about that will impact in a detrimental way your experience online across the board, by the way. Sniff says, Grok, who is more right here, Elon or Asmon? Grok says, both have valid points, but Elon is more right. Government's monopoly on violence heightens the risks of surveillance and abuse, as in UK's failed verify system and privacy concerns in India's Aadhaar. Private firms, while profit-driven, enable competition and innovation, reducing overreach if regulated properly. A third-party hybrid could balance this, which I strongly disagree with that, but whatever, it is what it is. Then we have the ever legendary Madam Savvy jumping in, saying, and I retweeted this already, but she said, letting people try to regulate a borderless environment is not the way. Either you are mature enough to handle the privilege of the internet, or you aren't. There is zero reason to try to verify IDs, and the only reason they want this is for government control and companies to profit, which again goes back to what I was saying earlier. There is no benefit for the citizens. There is nobody that I know of outside of Asmongold that is clamoring for ID verification for online access. Why would anyone want that? Why? What benefit to you is there? And again, every time you ask that question, it always goes back to, the children. And I'm going to say it again. I've said it until my face turns blue. Let the parents deal with that, bro. There ain't no issue here. We got it. I don't need the government to parent my kids. That is why Pornhub was bought by the Canadian group. They don't care about porn. They care about their verification tech to license it out. Isn't that interesting that now the companies that are owning the pornography are also owning the tech to license verification systems? It's actually, from a business standpoint, pretty fucking genius, because if you are the one owning the porn and you are in cahoots with the government saying, yes, we see a lot of bad stuff happening here, we feel like there's a lot of kids accessing this, we should get you guys to use us to verify, to make sure that these kids can't get to the stuff that we have here. And we have a system in place already right now. We just need you guys to put into law to guarantee that people need to utilize that. And then we're good. And then what happens? Then the company itself can double dip on the same process that they already have and make double the money, make even more money based off of restricting access of people. Again, my kids, they ain't going to Pornhub, all right? That's not happening. And by the time my kids want to go to Pornhub, I probably want them to. Like, they're only, especially my son, that dudes are dudes, guys. Like, anyone that's trying to deny that, I don't know what to tell you, but it's science. It's going to have to be happening at some point. You can try to pretend that humans aren't human. At some point, Humans are human, and they're going to need to access that kind of stuff. And if not, then what? Playboy magazine, Penthouse, scrambled porn? Like, well, what is it? What are you going to do as a parent? Just say no, none of that? Just restrict for eternity? No? Okay. You want to do that to your kid? Have at it, bro. I definitely don't want you to be my parent. The internet is already mostly dead. There are means to find actual criminals, and adding this stupid ID system to YouTube, Google, etc. does literally nothing to prevent anything. All it does, once again, is add an additional step, add verification, and force people to purchase or add on things where a company makes additional money somewhere with a third party. Might not be directly through you, but it could be through the government, through the back end, using their product and incorporating it into systems. There is money being made, and they want this stuff to go through to make that money. Ain't no one in trouble, and no one's facing any issues that never existed. Stop with the straw man arguments. Stop with trying to shut down the internet. Stop with whatever back-ass take this is. This is insane. Insane. And again, I am a consistent viewer of Asmongold. I watch many of his videos. This was it. Giga Bear says, we're not going to comply, period. Asmongold, and by the way, Giga Bear, extremely based. Asmongold said, you've already complied by providing your information to your ISP. If the government subpoenas your data, your ISP will give it to them. This is the same for every company because it's the law. For 99.9% of internet users, anonymity is a mirage. And Giga Bear says, I'm not anonymous at this point. I actually got doxxed over being in Gamergate too. But I'm still not going to comply with any real ID requirements on principle. As for others, I cannot control what they do with my data, although Elon has been notably resistant to government overreach, which absolutely banger response by Giga Bear. And again, I hope Asmongold comes to his senses with this, but this is wild. The day I have to upload my ID to YouTube or any online services is the day I stop using that online service. And he said, yeah, that's why an authentication token that only verifies info and doesn't provide it is the best solution. I don't think a solution to what problem? Again, this is where I keep getting stuck on. He keeps assuming there's an issue that he's trying to resolve. That's where the impasse is here. That's where the frustration people have. They're like, there isn't a problem. Stop saying that we need a solution to a straw man that doesn't exist. How is there a problem? Matt Stanford says, smash. The counter argument for Zach's argument there is that the government has to subpoena the company first. These verification laws would allow them to access on a whim. Great point, by the way. Great point. And yes, Giga Bear is base as fuck. But this is crazy. While it affects the entire world, there is no surprise that every other government in Europe is now trying to draft this exact same legislation. Exactly. That is the major concern I have with what's happening right now. Is there seems to be a coordinated effort worldwide, and the USA. What makes us different is we don't go for that shit. That's what makes us different. And now we have people inside of our own country being like, hey guys, let's just go along with everyone else. Like, no, what the fuck? No. I said, I love you and your takes, man. I really do. But this ain't it. It will never be. You cannot trust the government like this. I weep for our future if this ends up a reality. This is a parental problem, Evil Dude says. Hard stop. There is no possible way a kid gets online without an adult. Now there's a lot of parents who just hand their middle schoolers a cell phone and blame the internet for not being safe. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. But that negligence doesn't mean punishing everyone. Oh my God. Exactly. So yeah, that's the situation right now with Asmongold doubling down on his take for whatever godforsaken reason. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think he has done a good job explaining, even in the video he made, which I watched pretty much half of it earlier. I saw what he's trying to say, and I'm like, yeah, I still don't agree with it though. So, uh, yeah, Homebase Pluto says if this ID thing goes through, people will go back to old forms of offline media. I'll be one of them. Victor says the government is never the solution. If you have other ideas, you're free to propose them. Yeah, that's where I'm at with this. I love people that are like older and try to look back and be like, "Oh, I'm going to make it safer for the kids," forgetting that like literally when you were younger, you did all the shit that you're trying to stop kids from doing. Like, bro, don't be that old man. Joe says, "What the fuck is scrambled for?" Oh man, good times.